This is something that I wish I had tapped into and discovered way back when I first started book marketing. And on the one hand, I probably would have lost one of my main incentives to market at that time, but it would have also forced me to find better incentives to do book marketing. And that would have gotten me closer to a healthier mindset, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all of those things. And that healthy mindset is, in fact, what is key to keeping you consistent and effective in doing book marketing in a way that makes sense for you. But at the time, I had no idea that this one thing was throwing me off course so much, that this one belief was just upsetting my entire world in some strange way. And I needed to get over it. And this might also be something that you need to consider. It probably is in some ways because of how certain achievements in an author life are viewed. And so stay tuned for this quick, encouraging episode of the Author Culture Podcast, where I'm going to share something that is going to flip how you look at success and failure, especially when we're talking about book marketing and book success and putting yourself in this world with other authors who might be further ahead or behind you in different ways. This is Janeen Ippolito of Author Culture. Let's chat. And welcome back to the Author Culture Podcast, where we are all about helping ambitious science fiction and fantasy authors just like you achieve your sustainable, unique success in a chaotic publishing world. So if you are all about hitting that finish line, hitting that target, achieving that unique goal in a way that's going to make sense for you and your life season, in a way that's going to flow with your energy levels or your other commitments in life, and is going to help you to reach those particular finish lines, you were in the right place. And I am so glad that you are here today. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about this one thing that I think can really mess with authors' heads. And it's something that we don't always think about, but it is something that can be sort of shoved in our heads the more that we're aware of things in the whole book marketing world. And as we see other people's success. And when I talk about this, I'm not necessarily saying that other authors who are achieving their success are in any way putting this on someone. And I think that was why when I was first dealing with this whole situation, and the situation was, in fact, that ugly old enemy and sin of jealousy and envy of other people's success, I didn't see what was undergirding it. I just felt embarrassed and ashamed. And of course, Christian here, so we're going to repent and all of that. But I didn't sit with it and go, what kind of belief am I anchored in that is making me have these kind of conclusions, that is making me even feel disappointed in myself? And that was something that I realized that was beyond those initial feelings of envy and jealousy, which, guys, we get it. Okay. When you see someone else having success, you can feel envious and jealous too. It's not great. It's not right, but it can happen. All right. You got to see it's there to deal with it. But in this case, I would also feel disappointment, and I would feel a deep disappointment that would sometimes saturate me, and I wouldn't understand why. And I was like, okay, I get the envy, I get the jealousy, I get that stuff. That's not great. We got to work through that. I'm a competitive person in my own special way. Feeding into that's not going to help here. But why did I feel that deep sense of disappointment in myself? And what I realized was I was making an assumption about success itself that was completely untrue, but that would make me just feel terrible when someone else did well. And yeah, we're getting personal here with this, guys. Here's the thing that I had to overcome. I had come to this crazy idea that someone else's success was my failure, which is ridiculous because guess what? There are a lot of ways that you can be successful. There are a lot of ways that you can achieve different goals. And some of the things that I would feel deeply disappointed about, I had no control over. And in fact, There's a lot of things in book marketing that you have no control over, which is one of the reasons why us crazy author mindset people and business mindset people are like, choose the right things to anchor yourself on. Don't anchor yourself on things that you can't control. Don't anchor your self-worth on things that you can't control, because my friend, you are going to end up disappointed in yourself and at the world a whole lot, because you're trying to anchor your success in something that you have no ability to impact. And the thing is, of course, us coaches out there, we want to encourage you to try your best and to keep going at it. But also the truth is you can try really hard at something and it cannot work. And what would hit me with that sometimes would be especially things like, for instance, contests. You put your book into a contest, and even the word contest makes you feel like you're a runner and the other person's a runner and you're both going to run really fast and then someone's going to get it and you got to run really fast. That is not how book contests work. It's a little bit more like baking a really cool cake and then you just put it on a platform, and there's a lot of subjectivity in it. It's not the same thing as, someone with a stopwatch saying, well, this person objectively, was 3.5 seconds faster than this person. I got a stopwatch. That is not how book contests work. Now, of course, at a certain level, quality does come into play and everything. But especially once you get to like the semifinals and such, a fair amount of it comes down to people's personal interaction with the book, their taste. And that taste can be a great thing. They can have great sense of taste. But the point is, it introduces subjectivity into it, which means you have no control over it. But when I didn't get to a certain place in a contest, one of the things buried under everything else would be a sense of disappointment in myself. And that's not fair. That's not fair to me. I had no control over whether they liked the book or not. I had no control over, the particular preferences of the judges. I had no control over anything. Like, I'm not a runner racing against another runner here. I'm just putting my book in there and having people decide if they like it or not. And I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I published my book and I get a ton of reviews that are all negative. Maybe that's going to tell me something that I need to fix in my book. But you don't even usually get that feedback from a lot of contests. You just don't make it onto the next round. So it's something where you're placing your value in something that you have no control over, but you also can feel this weird disappointment because someone else is succeeding at something, and that means you failed. But it's not an either or situation there, especially not in something like a book contest or a book award thing where you have no control over it. And it's not the place where you really want to be measuring your value. It can be great if you win, but your value is the exact same whether you win or lose. It's almost something where we use the term win, but the equivalent term losing doesn't really work, because it was simply that one particular book was chosen as being at a certain high level of quality. But then, especially when you get to the finalists, it was that particular book that really seemed to strike the judges at that moment. We have so many verses in the Bible, guys, about God. He exalts who he's going to exalt, and he humbles who he's going to humble. And that's it. And if you don't have that framework, people will say, well, it's luck. It's fortune. It just happens. But no matter how you look at it, no matter what worldview you bring to the table here, there's just things that you have no control over and that are subjective and are things that you really shouldn't be basing your sense of value on. And so I want to encourage you with this statement. This is a true statement here. Okay? Someone else's success is not your failure. Someone else achieving a goal does not mean that you somehow lost because you didn't achieve that goal. And it can be really hard if you're especially kind of a black and white thinker, and you can have this sense of, they did it. They won, so I lost. They hit the goal, I guess I can't hit it anymore. They won the thing, I'm never going to win anything. They did this, I don't do things. And it's ridiculous if you think about it, because someone else's success in one specific area doesn't mean you can't succeed in other areas. It doesn't mean that you can't set your idea of success. And so I want you to encourage yourself with this, okay? When you're looking at someone else's success, be like, that's great, because their success is great for them, and it doesn't mean that you failed. This is not an either or thing here. This is not a zero-sum game, all right? There are ways for many authors to reach different kinds of success or the same kinds of success. Someone else's success is not your failure. Someone else's success is their success. And that is great. And you know what? You also can set the terms for whatever your success is and keep going at it. And if you do hit failure in that. If you don't hit the goals you want, then you can sit with that, sit with the hard emotions, sit with whatever disappointment you have from not hitting those goals, and then pivot. I'm all about the pivot and I'm all about the triaging. And that's how you survive in this whole thing long term, is that you have to say, okay, I tried this, didn't work. We're going to go to that. But that's you and your goals and your whole journey with this. Blinders on. Let's not do the unhealthy comparison. If anything, if you're looking at someone and going, wow, that's a really cool success, maybe that's a sign that you also want to achieve that in your own way. So when you're thinking about someone else's success and you're thinking about how you process that, and maybe you're in a situation where someone else seemed to have this win and you didn't have it, remember, their success is not your failure. As you can, be happy for them. It's great. And when you're successful, it's kind of cool when people are happy for you. And then think about how you can continue to work on achieving your goals. And if you sit with that and you can go, wow, I'm kind of discouraged on that, then that's you and your goals. We can sit with those goals and you can tweak them and, rearrange things. But it doesn't involve this person and their success. That's great for them. That is awesome. That whole thing had nothing to do with whatever feelings of failure or difficulty you're dealing with in your own author life. Their success is not your failure. Your success doesn't mean someone else fails. That's not how things work here. Be encouraged. Be where you are. And when you're dealing with that kind of disappointment because you're not where you want to be, sit with those feelings. Figure out where you might need to pivot things in terms of your goals, in terms of your expectations, in terms of the kind of books you're writing, etc. Make the right choices that you need to make for that. I do this all the time. We're having to set aside this project, or this thing is taking longer, or, at the time of this video, a book that was supposed to take 2 months took 10. That felt like a huge disappointment for me. Now the book is at the formatter, so I'm on the other side of it, but there were a lot of feels of disappointment there. But that was simply something where I need to sit with my project and say, okay, is it worth it? Yes. Counted the cost. It's worth it. This is hard sometimes. I'm going to keep going. So when you're feeling those feelings of disappointment or insecurity, especially when you see someone else's success, blinders on. Their success is great for them. Be happy for them as you can. We're supposed to rejoice with people who rejoice. And then sit with yourself and go, okay, am I just feeling these feelings of disappointment because I'm having a rough day, hard things in my life, or maybe do I need to rethink my goals and tweak things to continue to have that sense of moving forward? And thank you so much for hanging out with me today, you fantastic authors. If you haven't already, do make sure that you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts. And also make sure that you're subscribed to me on Substack. And if you are so called, click that paid subscribe button. Every little bit helps. And all we do here at Author Culture to encourage, equip, and empower authors just like you. Now go forth and be awesome.